Good morning and welcome to Chancellor's opening session. This is the one time each year that we have an opportunity to come together and talk about important initiatives and the general state of the district. I'd like to begin this session by asking our student trustee, Keith Carrillo, to open the session with the Pledge of Allegiance. Keith? Keith will be followed by our board president, T.J. Prendergast.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Morning. As it mentioned, I'm T.J. Prendergast, President of the Board of Trustees. I'm happy to welcome you all here today. I'd like to introduce my fellow trustees who are also in attendance. We have Trustee Marcia Milchiker, Trustee Jim Wright, and our student trustee, Keith Carrillo, who just led you in the pledge. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Chancellor Bryce Harris for coming and speaking to you today, and you'll see him later. The Chancellor's opening session marks the start of another academic year, as he just mentioned. It's the start of your Flex Week, even though some of you started yesterday. And it's great to see such an outstanding variety of in-service opportunities that are being provided to you at both of the colleges. I'm always pleased to see sessions that share best practices and inspire us to be innovative, especially when it comes to student success, which we all now know is a driving force of what we do. Over the past year, the board was privileged to hear some of your student success efforts during presentations at board meetings and throughout our visiting the schools. We had the Student Success Scorecard, which showed the great job you are doing in student completion, retention, and transfer, and lifelong learning. We have a district-wide Student Success Summit. Many of you attended that. You have the new tutoring center programs, pilot programs that accelerate success in writing and math, campus committees comprised of students and staff both to define and guide success on campus. The My Academic Plan, or MAP, workshops to get every student on a path. And I can tell you my own daughter is going through that, and she's having so much fun with it. High school partnerships that guarantee commitments to the students at both colleges. There are hundreds of transformative ideas being developed across our district. Your work is inspiring and valuable. On behalf of the board, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, and keep it coming. Thank you for joining us today. I think it's going to be an interesting session and have an exciting year.
TJ just mentioned the State Chancellor. I'd like to begin by doing a formal recognition of Dr. Bryce Harris, sitting right over here. I appreciate, Bryce, that you came all the way from Sacramento this morning to be here. That's great. I'd also like to introduce some of the executive team and then the governance group representatives. First, I'd like to introduce my most trusted supporter and critic, my wife, Adair. Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce President Todd Burnett. President Glenn Rockmore. And I can't see from the lights too well, but I think we just had another trustee join us, Trustee Tim Jamal. Do I see Deborah? No? Okay. I'd like to introduce our Vice Chancellor of Technology and Learning Services, Bob Ramucci. Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, David Bouguet. And now to our governance leaders. I'd like to begin with Dan Walsh, Academic Senate President of Saddleback College. Kathy Schmeidler, Irvine Valley College Academic Senate President. Mike Sauter, Saddleback College Classified Senate. Vince Cooper, Irvine Valley College Classified Senate. He's way in the back at the camera. Claire Cesario, Faculty Association President. Scott Green, CSEA President. And the last is Santos Garcia, POA President. Thank you all for being here today. The next item on the agenda is the introduction of new full-time faculty. Would the presidents please join me up here?
Good morning. I am very excited, folks, to introduce Saddleback College's new full-time faculty starting this year. First, I'm pleased to introduce a new computer science professor, Shannon Alfaro. If you could please stand. Our next faculty is a learning disability specialist and DSPS counselor, Anne Marie Breslin. A new addition to our nursing faculty, Nicole Dupree. History professor, Christina Ganbar-Poor. Another addition to our nursing faculty, Cynthia Gross. New English composition professor, Catherine Hayter. Mathematics, Jason Hull. Human Services instructor, Sean Osborne. Child Development, Brenda Placencia Carasosa. New Business Law instructor, Emily Quinlan. Our new counselor, Efren Rangel. Real estate instructor, Brock Schermerhorn. In the back there. New librarian, Carolyn Seaman. A second mathematics instructor, Jacob Tracy. In the back there. Anthropology, Erica Vogel. And finally, our new English composition instructor, Jake Williams. Congratulations and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Irvine Valley College. It's my distinct honor to introduce our new faculty members for this year. First off, Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Carlo Chan. Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Joshua Danufsky. Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Keith Donovan. Assistant Professor of Biology, Meredith Dorner. Assistant Professor of Sign Language, Keith Gamachi. Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Ken Huber. Assistant Professor English Basic Skills, Rebecca Kaminsky. Assistant Professor English Basic Skills, Melissa Knoll. Assistant Professor Biology, Anatomy Physiology, Amy McWhorter. Assistant Professor Psychology, Benjamin Miss. Assistant Professor Engineering, Zara Nalruzi. Assistant Professor Chemistry, Sean Pheasant. Assistant Professor Counseling, CTE, Amanda Romero. Assistant Professor Entrepreneurship Management, John Russo. Go up at the top there. Assistant Professor Accounting, Bennett Tchaikovsky. And congratulations to all of you. Welcome aboard.
Next, I'd like to introduce the new administrators and managers, and also some who have changed responsibilities. David Anderson, Director of Audience Development, Saddleback College. Don Boucher, who never goes away, acting. He's acting Director of Economic and Workforce Development at Saddleback College. Don't be shy, Don. Come on. Jessica Cha, Facilities Operations Supervisor, Saddleback College. Corinne Doty, Dean of Instruction and Economic and Workforce Development at Irvine Valley College. Patrick Higa, Police Operations Lieutenant, Saddleback College. David Kachatrian, Vice President, College Administrative Services at Irvine Valley College. Tony Lackow, Human Resources Operations Supervisor in District Services. Gina LaMonica, Dean, Advanced Technology and Applied Science at Saddleback College. Don Lindbow, Student Payment in the Veterans Offices Manager, Saddleback College. Brenda Mathias, Director of Fiscal Services, Accounting and Budget in District Services. Fran Miller, Human Resources Operations Supervisor, District Services. Nancy Montgomery, Director, Health and Wellness Center, Irvine Valley College. Daniel Priedel, Director of Emeritus Instruction Program, Saddleback College. Sandy Simbiazzi, Executive Assistant, Office of the Vice Chancellor of Business. Cheryl West, Grants Project Manager, categorical position in Health Sciences and Human Services at Saddleback College. And I guess just in the door, Christina Hinkle, Director of Learning Assistance, Saddleback College. Today we have several presentations which will focus on our number one priority, student success. We will hear from our state perspective from our Chancellor Bryce Harris, and each of our colleges will showcase their innovative student success initiatives. I know many of you also work on student success every day in your classrooms and in your departments. Over the past year, many new pilot programs and best practices have been shared at the Board of Trustees meetings by monthly presentations. I appreciate these efforts. It's important to all of us. Board members, faculty, and staff all need to keep a focus on student success and completion. This year, we wrapped up our first district-wide strategic plan, which had 6 goals, 14 objectives, and 77 action steps. The District-Wide Planning Council has just finished a new 6-year strategic plan that will guide our district from 2014 to 2020. There are 4 district-wide goals that provide flexibilities for the colleges and district services to develop objectives that, to meet those goals. The 4 goals are, goal number 1, the district will foster an environment characterized by creativity, innovation, respectful interactions, and collaboration. Goal 2, the district will promote student success by enhancing the teaching and learning environment. Goal 3, the district will advance economic and workforce development through regional partnerships with educational institutions and industry, and by strengthening career technical education. Goal 4, the district will strengthen long-term financial health and institutional effectiveness through integrated planning and resource allocation. The next big improvement in our district will be the implementation of Workday. Workday is an enterprise resource planning software. This project began 2 years ago, and hundreds of you have already participated in the development. You or someone you know is working on improving processes in budget, purchasing, accounts payable, and receivable, hiring processes, facilities planning, financial aid, board agenda development, payroll and timekeeping, curriculum development, travel, grants and auxiliaries, benefits processing, and contracts. The processes that they exist today are cumbersome and create unnecessary workloads. Implementing Workday will create a culture shift in how we do business, and I believe it is a welcome and a timely shift. Workday's cloud-based structure will eliminate paper, manual steps, and shadow systems. It provides real-time information in one system that is dynamic and accessible. It will make our daily tasks easier. I want to thank the board for their support on this project. It is a large commitment of time and of resources, but it lays a foundation for the next 20 years. More than 200 organizations spanning from mid-size to Fortune 500 businesses are using Workday to unify their administrative operations and maximize resources. Universities like Brown, Cornell, and Georgetown are using it. By next year at this time, we will have it implemented. Economic and workforce development is a high priority for us. This year, the state allocated $250 million in career pathways funding to spur economic growth throughout the state. Our district was part of an Orange County consortium that received $15 million to focus on training in 3 sector sections. 1, healthcare and biotechnology. 2, engineering, advanced manufacturing, and design. 3, information communication technology. The goal of this initiative is to enroll 17,000 Orange County students into these career pathways by 2017-18. Our colleges are also working on program development for their presence at ATEP. Our Tustin campus that will focus primarily on workforce development. Saddleback College received a Department of Labor TAC grant for $2.75 million to begin working on an allied health curriculum. It is estimated that 14,000 allied health jobs in California will go unfilled this year. This is a high-growth, high-need area. We are working with some potential partners to help us build Saddleback Center for Innovation in Healthcare at ATEP to focus on meeting these allied health needs. IVC recently got approval for their first building at ATEP, and they are developing curriculum and industry partnerships in pre-engineering, advanced manufacturing, digital media arts, and advanced energy systems. We continue to seek funding and partnerships for this important development that is in the heart of Orange County. A master development plan is underway for the entire 62-acre site. This will enable us to plan educational space, commercial zones, and transportation corridors to maximize usage. This is a district-wide planning effort with many opportunities for you to participate. Yesterday, there was an in-service session at Saddleback College, and tomorrow, it was at IVC, and tomorrow there is one at Saddleback. I am very pleased with the state of our district and the unwavering commitment of faculty, staff, and administrators. Our work is great, but our mission is greater: to provide a dynamic and innovative learning environment dedicated to student success and the economic growth of our region. That's no small job, and I thank all of you who work hard every day to see our mission through. Now I'd like to welcome Dr. Bryce Harris to the stage. Dr. Harris was unanimously selected as Chancellor of the California Community Colleges by the Board of Governors in 2012. Prior to being selected as leader of the largest system of higher education in the nation, Harris served 16 years as Chancellor of the Los Rios Community College District in the Sacramento area. He served as president of Fresno City College, and he was a faculty member and vice chancellor in Kansas City, Missouri at the community college system. He spent much of his career working to improve student success and access in community colleges. He now leads the 112 California community colleges in implementing Student Success Act initiatives. He is a widely respected leader on national educational issues and recently completed a term as a board member of the American Council on Education in Washington, D.C. He earned his postdoctoral study at Harvard University Institute of Educational Management, received his doctorate in education at Nova Southeastern University, his master's in communication from the University of Arkansas, and his bachelor's in communication from Southwestern Oklahoma State University. His accomplishments go way beyond education. He was named Sacramentan of the Year by the Sacramento Metro Chamber and Humanitarian of the Year by the United Cerebral Palsy in Sacramento. Today, we are honored to host him as our keynote speaker. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Bryce Harris.
Thank you, Gary. Well, thank you all very much for allowing me a little time on your program today. We're going to get the slides loaded up, and hopefully I'll get a tiny bit more light, although I can speak from the dark pretty well as well. You know, when I come out to the colleges across the state, I'm always mindful that many of you probably think my introduction should be, hi, I'm from Sacramento and I'm here to help you. And I think oftentimes nobody really knows what a state chancellor does. I would love to tell you there's a lot of humor in my job, but unfortunately most of the humor in my life comes from being married to a 40-year-long elementary educator. So all of the good humor I have are based on things that happened with her elementary school. When I was, she retired a couple of years ago, so I'm recycling a lot of old material, but she sent me over to an elementary school one day to pick some things up on my lunch hour, and I was dressed like this, and I went into the elementary school office, and you know what that is like. It's pretty hectic, so I knew I was in the middle of everything you have to sign in, so I just stepped inside the door and stood by the door waiting for sort of the fall to pass, and I noticed this young man, probably 10 or 11 years old, staring at me. I wear hearing aids in both my ears, and finally, after I'd stood there for a while, he walked up and stood right next to me. He looked straight ahead and he said, "I know who you are and I know who you're here to get." And I said, "Pardon me?" He said, "You're with the FBI and you're here to get Patrick, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not with the FBI." He said, "I see it in your ears. You're with the FBI or the CIA. You're here to get Patrick." So I never had the pleasure to meet Patrick. I think probably good. I am reminded, though, of my wife taught fifth grade for a number of years. Before that, she taught second grade. Story of Giovanna. Giovanna was a precocious young woman who came up to me in the morning and said, "Ms. Harris, I don't feel very well. I think I'm going to throw up." And Barbara said, "Oh, don't do that. Stand right there, Giovanna. I'll be right back." And she turned to the class. She said, "Line up over there. I'll be right back." She turned back. Giovanna said, "Ms. Harris, why are they lining up?" And Barbara said, "Oh, they're going to lunch." Giovanna said, "Well, I think I can wait till after lunch to throw up." Oh, I always ask if you'd wait till after my speech to get sick. It would be appreciated. I'm going to told them, be sure to turn this on, and then I didn't do it. I'm going to talk with you briefly this morning about three areas. First of all is a real quick history on how we got where we are, a look at some of the challenges that we're currently facing, and then finally a word about our future, which I happen to think is extremely bright. When you look at my presentation, you'll see the smiles of the people we work for, the students of the great state of California. These are all photographs taken by a colleague of mine, a photography instructor at Cosumnes River College, and he's been providing me these photographs for the last 25 years. In fact, I think some of these students are retired by now. But they, when you look at the establishment of our system, it goes all the way to 1907 when we were established in state statutes, and it's entertaining to read the exact words. The mission strand of transfer was codified in statutes then, followed about a decade later with career tech and vocational education to our mission. Then fast forward a number of years, and you begin to see community services education appear for the first time in our mission. And then in '88, adult ed basic skills remediation was added, even though, of course, we were doing a lot of that at that point. And then the last addition to our mission in 1996 was the workforce development you heard your chancellor talk about just a moment or two ago. So these mission strands are really what California's community colleges are all about, but as you know, this mission is not a static one. In fact, back in 2008, when we began to ration education in California, the legislature narrowed that mission. They didn't do away with those other mission strands, but they asked us to focus on technical education, basic skills, remediation, and training. A lot of us are frustrated that we haven't been able to restore the full breadth. Although workforce development seems to be becoming pretty strong, the community service side of our mission really has been marginalized. I think that we need to remain vigilant and have that mission strand returned to us over time. I'd argue pretty vehemently that it is far better to have California's citizens enrolled in our colleges singing in a choir or learning ceramics or doing some other kind of avocational work than sitting home watching soap operas, ultimately loading down the healthcare system of the state. So I'm hopeful this mission strand will come back to us over time. But we are a full-service set of community colleges across this country, and when you look at us, we're a little different. This is a typical structure for the California State University, and the UC looks similar to this, except it only has 10 boxes down below. But again, a governor and a legislature, a board of regents at the state level, a chancellor, and ultimately all of those colleges reporting up through that structure. When you look at our colleges and districts out across the state, as is the case with this one, the local board, a chancellor, and then college presidents that through that structure, and or some of our colleges are they have superintendent presidents heading them up. However, when you look at the system, we're a very different confederation. We do have 7 districts, and you don't need to count them. I counted them twice, so I know there's 70 boxes up there. And they constitute a independent institutions. In fact, 112 of our colleges, as you know, they are accredited, but we're structured with locally elected trustees that oversee these colleges and help interpret the state policy, and they are overseen, if you will, by the legislature and the governor, of course, and in our case, by an appointed, gubernatorially appointed board of governors. The board of governors for whom I work is charged with interpreting state policy, setting the strategic direction of the system, and then at the local level, local trustees and all of you interpret the local needs and develop academic programming accordingly. A lot of people are critical of this system. They say, oh, you should do away with all those locally elected boards and look to a structure more like your colleagues at UC and CSU. But think about how difficult it would be out of Sacramento to try to oversee the educational needs of Lake Tahoe or of East L.A. or Redwoods or City College of San Diego. It's a very diverse state, huge state, tremendous enrollment, lots of different colleges, and citizens with varying educational needs. So this structure is one that works very well for us and of which I think we should be very supportive. However, one of the challenges that we face is that we have a lot of stakeholders, and when you look at our system, we do get advice and counsel from a number of places, chief among them from our students, from the legislature, from the governor, from all of our public. It's a very diverse system. When you add in the Community College League and the Academic Senate, the Student Senate, as you know, a number of collective bargaining organizations at the state level, added to that, a lot of think tanks, the Public Policy Institute, California Competes, the Campaign for College Opportunity, and then we have the Accrediting Commission, who occasionally has advice and counsel for us, the U.S. Department of Education, obviously UC and CSU. Each one of our groups has representatives, and then there are 54 additional organizations in the directory that aren't on this list. So we have a very dynamic environment. And when I took this job a couple of years ago, this was a daunting challenge, and it caused me to think a lot about the system and our future. And it didn't take long for a couple of very clear opportunities to surface. The first of those being the restoration of access that we've lost in this system over the last many years. The second, as you heard, is your focus here, which is enhancing the success of our students. Now, why is that important? Well, if you look at this country, one of the things that I think all of us are troubled by is the dynamic of the various age groups in our country. If you look at the oldster crowd, that 55 to 64 group, by the way, I now think I must be in the irrelevant group because I'm beyond that. When you look at that age group, we are still third in the globe in terms of higher education attainment. However, as our students and our population gets younger and younger, you can see we fall further and further behind. This is an 2010 study. In fact, now we are 14th in the globe in terms of higher ed attainment among that 25 to 34-year-old group, supposedly just coming out of college. Now, this next slide's a little hard to see, but I'm going to explain it to you. What you see here in the triangles are that younger group we're talking about, the 25 to 30. The little box are the older crowd, the group I am not long out of. And so you see the difference. If you go out here to Korea on the far right-hand side, you'll see that among the 55 to 64 group, Korea only has about 13% of its population with higher education attainment. However, when you look at their youngest population, those that are coming right out of college, they now have in excess of 65% of their population who have higher education attainment. So when you look down this chart, the only two countries in the globe that have remained stagnant over this period of time are Israel and the United States. And so you see they're down 14th along the way. We are static in terms of educational attainment of our population. In fact, for the first time in the history of this country, we stand to have a generation that's less educated than the one before it. That's why what we're trying to do here in California and across this country related to student success is so important. Restoring our leadership, both an increase in the percentage of the population attending higher education and the ones who are here succeeding in greater and greater numbers. So why does California and why do California community colleges matter? Well, when you look at our numbers and those enrolled in public higher education in this country, 1 out of every 5 community college students in a public community college environment in America are enrolled in a California community college, and 1 out of every 10 students in American public higher education are enrolled in one of our colleges. In fact, if you add in the UC and the CSU, 1 of every 8 students in American public higher education are enrolled here in California. And that's why we have to get this right. If we improve and restore access to our system and help students that are with us succeed in higher and higher, not only a dramatic impact on our own state, but on America and on global competitiveness for our country as well. So when you look then, the question is, how are we doing in that regard? Well, in terms of access, we've taken a beating over the last number of years. Our high water mark was in 08-09 when we had about 2.6 million students in this system, and now we're down to slightly below 2.1 million students. A loss of 500,000, and by the way, that's only part of the story because our enrollment was on an upward trajectory before we were forced to begin rationing education. So probably the loss is closer to 600,000 to 700,000 students out of our system over the past many years. Here's another way of looking at it, just the sheer drop-off in the headcount enrollment. You drill down a little bit, this shows you the penetration into the adult marketplace. Back in 08-09, 1 in every 11 adults in this state, 18 and over, was enrolled in a California community college. And as you can see now, it's dropped down to below 75 of every 1,000 adults enrolled in one of our colleges. That denial of access is something we simply have to stop and turn around and head in the other direction. Now, the news in that regard is encouraging. All of you I'm sure, worked hard to support it. Our students, we still believe, put this issue over the top. Proposition 30 provided in the first half year that it generated money for about 20,000 more students statewide in California's community colleges. Last year's budget added about 40,000 more, and the just started on July 1st, funds about 60,000 more headcount statewide. Now, you say to yourself, well, that's a 120,000 increase against that decline of somewhere between 500,000 and 700,000 students. And yes, it doesn't seem like much, but we probably are going to have 2 or 3 more good years, at least, out of Proposition 30. I do believe that when you look at a number of factors, high school graduation rates are flattening out, the economy is better, and therefore, as we know, people tend to go back to work. So those are sort of downward pressures on our enrollment. The most significant upward pressure on our enrollment is the fact that increasingly you can't get employed in a decent job without education beyond a high school diploma. We know that 80% of the jobs created between now and 2025 will require education beyond a high school diploma, and not necessarily in all those cases the baccalaureate degree. Our sweet spot is right where the educational needs of this state and this country are going to be. So how about the flip side of that, student success? And the news here is equally troubling. When you look at the success of students, we are all very frustrated by this. In fact, when you get a chance, I'd encourage you to go online either to your own college website or to the state community college website, and you'll see that little logo called Student Scorecard, Success Scorecard, and you can look at the performance of each one of our 112 colleges or on a statewide basis on all the key indicators of success. I won't go through them all, but I think it's worthy to note that if you come to a California community college prepared to go to college, you're a college student when you get here, you stand a better than 70% chance of succeeding, which is competitive with a lot of selective institutions across this country. However, if you come to us in need of remediation, your chance of succeeding drops dramatically, down to about 41%. The blended rate is only 48%. You may wonder, well, why only a modest improvement in the blended rate? It's because of this next slide. 3/4 of our students come to us unprepared for college. They need remediation in either math or English or both. That's the hill that we're trying to climb. And by the way, there's loads of blame to go around, and we don't need to spend a lot of time applying blame. The fact is the students are coming to us unprepared. They are what they are. We need to work hard to implement programs to help them succeed in greater and greater rates, which is exactly what you're working on doing. Now, when you drill down a little further in this, there's some even more troubling news. This shows you the breakdown of those success numbers by race and ethnicity, and as you can see, some tremendous troubling trends. The older our students get, the less successful they become. And so not only must we improve success overall, but we must close those performance gaps so that we don't leave any Californians behind in the process. Now, a lot of people have argued, and did before the Student Success Initiative, well, what we really need to do is fund outcomes, not inputs. And those of us who've been in this work for some time said, well, if you do that, you'll see success improve, no doubt about it. What will happen? Students that need us the most, ration education to those that can see at the highest rates, and yes, you'll look forward 10 years and see the success numbers go up, but you will have left behind the students that need us the most. So we convinced the legislature and the governor not to implement outcomes-based funding and instead to apply a student success approach to that, and we're making some progress. This shows you that developmental education, remedial education in English and math, and English as a second language back a year ago, and now those have all improved, frankly, pretty dramatically. And the work you're doing now is going to have an impact on the coming cohorts. In fact, the Board of Governors set goals at their meeting last month that suggest we want to make a 2.5 percentage point difference over the next 10 cohorts, which would generate about 223,000 more completions in our colleges statewide if we're able to pull that off, and I think we will. Here, if you look at the number of awards by academic year, keep in mind we were rationing education. We were losing enrollment pretty dramatically, and yet more successful outcomes during that period of time. So there's some encouraging news, and when you look forward, a robust student success agenda at the state level that you are beginning to implement at the local level. There are 22 recommendations that the Board of Governors generated at the end of a year-long process and approved in January of 2012. We're now about halfway through that list of 22. We expect to get them all done by the end of next year. I know it will relieve you to know I'm not going to go through all 22 of those, but I do want to mention a few of them. Increasing college readiness. We know that intersection between high school and college is a critical one. And again, as I said earlier, we can spend a lot of time placing blame, and our high school colleagues have struggled mightily. But in many cases, it's simply a mismatch. For example, a lot of high school students finish math their sophomore or junior year. They don't take any math their senior year, and then folks wonder why when they get to our doors 18 months later, they need remediation in order to succeed in math. Similarly, in English, often students finish high school focused on literature. They come to us, and we want them focused on composition. So again, there's a mismatch. Many of you are working with high schools and Common Core. One of the top recommendations from our Student Success Task Force is to improve that connection, and we currently have legislation pending on concurrent enrollment, which will allow you to get back into the high schools, especially in that junior and senior year, and not only offer remediation in English and math that many of those students need, but also begin to offer some college level work so that some of those students will get ahead before they even come out of high school. In addition to that, we want to strengthen the support for our students that, you know, the irony of the American Community College is we broke down tremendous barriers in the 60s and 70s as these colleges exploded across the country. The traditional higher education institutions had too many barriers for many students, and so we took a lot of those away. And that was great. We got a lot of students enrolled in our colleges. Unfortunately, those things like orientation and assessment and adequate placement were things our students really needed, and we're beginning to add those back. In addition to that, we want to try to incentivize successful student behaviors. We want students to be encouraged to take heavier loads, to go full-time, because we know if they don't work 2 or 3 jobs and instead go to college full-time, they tend to succeed in dramatically higher numbers. Now, we're realistic. We know a lot of our students have to work, but we need to do a better job of explaining financial aid to our students so that some of them really can realize that a little bit more financial aid in a shorter period of time is a quicker, more cost-efficient pathway to success. Aligning courses to offer what our students need. Obviously, a lot of our programs in the past have been based on what we offered the previous semester or the previous year. We're increasingly trying to drive our schedules by what our research tells us our students need in any given year or semester. In addition to that, improving basic skills education, remedial education. The truth is, if we get all of these recommendations implemented and we haven't succeeded in doing a better job with remediation and basic skills instruction, will fail. Whether it's compression or modularization, whether it's acceleration, there are a myriad of experiments going on up and down the state, some of them very, very successful, but we have to figure out a way to capture those successful behaviors and scale them up to the 3/4 of our students that are underprepared when they arrive at our door. Revitalizing professional development. I don't think we can expect all of us to really understand and be able to do the kinds of student success initiatives unless we provide good, robust professional to learn as we go. And of course, enabling state leadership. The governor and the legislature have funded some technical assistance for the first time in a lot of years. So, as I told the governor's staff, you can either fund us on the front end to protect your $6 billion investment in California community, some of our colleges that are struggling, or you can sit on the sidelines and wait for the collateral damage that we've seen in some of our institutions over the past many years. So they've decided an investment up front makes some sense. For that. Finally, aligning resources with our recommendations. It is unprecedented that the governor and the legislature have funded our efforts in student success, $50 million augmented last year, another $100 million this year, plus $70 million for equity. They are truly putting their money where their priorities are, and that's very, very good in our stead. Now, I think we have a window of opportunity between now and 2018 in which to capitalize on the restoration of access and enhancements of student success. And the reason I believe that is because of the stability I think we're going to see. Administratively, whether you like him or not, he's very likely to get reelected. And so I think you're going to have administrative stability at the state level during the next 5-year period of time. In addition to that, there is a Democrat in the legislature. There's no reason to believe that's not going to stay, and so I think you're going to have a certain level of stability. And finally, because of Prop 30, even though it sunsets in a couple of tranches out a few years, at least for the next few years, I think we're going to see financial stability as well. And so we, in addition to having seem to have the legislature telling us what they want accomplished instead of telling us how they want us to get there. You'll recall, I mentioned a moment ago, outcomes-based funding. That was their approach previously to prescribe not only what they wanted, but how exactly we had to get there. They seem to increasingly be willing to let us make those decisions as long as we pony up and succeed. So the administration, the legislature, and the Board of Governors are, for the first time that I've been in California for more than 20 years, on the same page. They have the same goals. They're sharing the same priorities of the restoration of access and the improvement of student success. Now, by the way, that's not to suggest that we don't have a myriad of other opportunities out there. We have online education, a tremendous pressure to restore. We have a huge number of veterans returning to the state. We have facility needs that apparently aren't going to get met this time around. So there's a myriad of challenges we face in addition to that. But the greatest challenge that we face is trying to restore access and improve student success while at the same time closing those performance gaps I talked about a moment ago. The biggest challenge we have is staying focused. A colleague told me one time, if there were 1,000 different directions to go in, we'd try to go in all 1,000 at once. And I will tell you, after coming into this job, that there are an awful lot of people out there that want to help us. These think tanks gin up another critical report every time you turn around with a whole new set of recommendations, many of which are fine. It's just that they're different than the things we're working on. One of the things I've tried hard to do in my almost 2-year tenure is stay focused on those two priorities. Because the board did a strategic plan, and then they did this student success plan, and all of us love that strategic planning. You hang a lot of butcher paper on the wall, and you write all over it, and everybody gets excited. And then when that's over, somebody takes all that stuff, puts it in a plan, and often it sits and gathers dust. We are focused on restoring access to this system and getting those 22 recommendations implemented, allowing you at the local level to enhance student success. I think we absolutely can and will do that if we just stay focused for a few more years on those two priorities. And so in a resource-starved environment, as we've been in years past, success and access tend to collide with one another. Because if you don't have enough money, you will offer as many courses as you can, but you suffer on the qualitative side. Or you can focus on quality and enhancement of student success and not offer enough courses for students to take. So what we're trying to do is get bigger and better at the same time. It doesn't matter if you're General Motors or a store on the corner. Bigger and better at the same time is difficult, especially if you're resource-starved, which even though Prop 30 is, we continue to be a grossly underfunded system. So what we hope is that over time we'll turn these two things in the same direction. It is a daunting challenge of which, although I know we're up to, it keeps us up at night. And sometimes it makes me feel a little bit old. I remember Barbara telling me about Giovanna when they were going through magazines from the 50s to try to help the children in class understand the changes in fashion. And Giovanna said to Barbara, "Mrs. Harris, they used to dress like that when you were alive?" Giovanna is the same one at the end of a very difficult day, and Barbara was sort of collapsed at her desk. Most of the rest of the students were gone for the day, and she came up and put her arm around Barbara's shoulder, and she said, "You know, Ms. Harris, you'd feel a whole lot better if you would just comb your hair and put on a little lipstick." I know how hard you're working. Every day I am proud to be your chancellor. If it gets tough, comb your hair, put on some lipstick. Have a great academic year. Thank you very much.
I want to thank Chancellor Harris for coming to us and providing the information about what we're doing statewide from a statewide perspective. And I know, Bryce, that you're quite an avid collector of college T-shirts. So we have here for you a T-shirt from both Saddleback College and from Irvine Valley College, and we hope you wear these two the most.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask Dr. Jane Horlings from Saddleback College and Dr. Rupa Mather from IVC to join us. And this discussion is going to be on the Student Success Summit.
My name is Dr. Jane Horlings, and I'm a biology professor at Saddleback College. Many of you also know me from my other role, and I'm flex coordinator for Saddleback College.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Rupa Mather. I teach in the School of Business Sciences here at Irvine Valley College, and for the last 2 years, I was Academic Affairs Chair. I also want to introduce you to Kathleen Greiner, and hello, Kathleen, and also Dr. Patty Flanagan. So we had a wonderful Student Success Summit last spring. It was on April 25th. I hope a lot of you were able to make it. The idea that me and Jane had was to really collaborate, bring the two colleges together, and use our faculty and our administrators and our staff to tell us about the wonderful student success factors that they use in their teaching and how they interact with the students here. So this is a link. You might want to write this link down. It has all the presentation materials from that seminar, and it also has the handouts that were given by the keynote speaker. We had about 150 attendees, which was really, really wonderful. Both the colleges came on campus here at IVC and spent a day that was really worthwhile. So what is student support? We looked at 6 success factors. So we had Dr. Diane Rodriguez keynote. She's from the RP group. The RP group is the Research and Planning Group of California, and they've done this wonderful research on what 6 success factors really help students to succeed. The 2 handouts there on the bottom link are really ways that faculty, just 10 ways, one sheet, 10 ways that faculty can help support students. And then the second one is how everybody, whether you work in the cafeteria or whether you work in admission and records, how you can help to support our students. So definitely take a look at those handouts. So these are the 6 success factors that they talked about with us. So it's directed, and focused, nurtured, engaged, connected, and valued. So when students feel these success factors, they're more likely to succeed in the class, and of course your attention rates will go up as well. I just wanted to talk about a few of these. We had a wonderful session yesterday afternoon here at Irvine Valley College. It was led by Joe San Juan, who's one of our tech gurus over here. And so what we did was we went through how we can implement these 6 success factors using Blackboard for online education. It's kind of easy to do if you're in the classroom and face-to-face with the students, but how would you implement these in your Blackboard classes and with your online classes? So we had wonderful discussions about how different faculty actually use these in the classroom. I'll give you just one example. I use something for engagement called Blackboard Collaborate. So what it is, it's kind of like Skype, but it's within Blackboard. So I get online, like let's say Wednesdays between 8 and 9, and whichever of my students can join me, join me. They can see me just like Skype, or I can turn the video off and they can just hear me. And we can chat. We can also share each other's screens, because I teach computer information management. And so sometimes I need to see what they're doing wrong on their software application. I can also share my screen with them. And I can archive it so students that couldn't attend for whatever reason, they can watch that recording later. So just one example of how you can increase engagement in even an online class. There's some other wonderful examples that we shared during the seminar last time. For Connected, you really want to show that they're proud of their work instead of just giving them 20 points out of 20 points on the homework. Right, great job. I really liked your essay, and I liked your viewpoint that you shared with us on this essay. Just 2 little lines really help a student feel connected. I always learn all the students' names in class. It's a really simple thing, and yes, it does take 1 or 2 weeks to learn everybody's names, but the students really feel valued. They feel connected when they walk into the room and you say, "Hi, Joe, how was your day today?" Or, "Hi, Amy, how's it going with you?" So just some other different ways that you can help them feel connected. Is that good? All right, I'm just going to tell you one more story before I give up the stage. The keynote speaker talked about a story that I want to share with you. There was an elderly gentleman, and he was on campus, and he was walking around, and he didn't know where to go. He didn't really know what to do. So he saw a door. He entered in the door, and he asked them, "Well, I want to sign up for classes, but I'm not really sure how to do it." So the lady at the front desk belonged to the DSPS office. She got up from her chair, walked this gentleman over to admission and records, and told him how to begin the process. That little 5 minutes that she took, which wasn't in her job description, helped the man, and he was one of the focus groups in this study, and that happened here at Irvine Valley College.
Well, I'd like to tag on to what Rupa said and share a few more things about the summit. There were 33 presentations, and they focused on student success, and we shared teaching strategies and best practices. And these presentations were given by faculty and staff and administration. What was unique about this summit was that a lot of the presentations told you exactly, not vague ideas about student success, but actual concrete things that we can implement in the classroom. And we all left literally with a toolbox of things that we wanted to add to our teaching repertoire. There were many excellent presentations. In fact, like our Flex Week, many were scheduled concurrently, and it was hard to choose from which ones to go to. In addition to those listed here, others were on using smart pens in the classroom, English department success activities, and addressing financial barriers to student success. All of the presentations that day facilitated idea exchanges between the faculty of both Saddleback and Irvine Valley College. And truly, I feel like we don't do this enough. We may come together today for the presentations today, but what happened on the day of the summit was that we spent times in the hallways. We spent times during lunch, meeting each other, exchanging ideas, and I think it worked so well because it was taking our 2 sister colleges and putting us in the same physical space at the same time to share ideas between us. And again, I think we just don't do this frequently enough. The positive comments from the attendees pointed to the great value of this event. It facilitated a lot of networking and collaboration between all attendees. And in fact, Rupa and I came up with the idea that very day of having today's activities, which you see on your schedules, as collaborative between Saddleback and Irvine Valley. All of the presentations today, some of which are even given by Saddleback faculty later today here on this campus, are for both Saddleback and Irvine faculty for our Professional Development Week. During these presentations, we learned a lot of practical applications and learned new strategies and really left energized. I want to mention that also today at 1:30 is another collaborative presentation by Saddleback faculty Amina Yazin and Carmen Mara Hernandez Bravo. At 1:30 is on student success in cross-cultural classrooms. And again, this was a result of that day of the summit and the collaboration that Rupa and I had. So looking ahead, it's my opinion that many of us travel many miles to go to professional development conferences and meetings. And this Student Success Summit was right in our backyard. And for the attendees, it was free. Faculty who didn't attend, you missed a really valuable conference and learning opportunity. And you won't know until you go. I hope you consider coming and or presenting in the spring of this year when we'll be planning the next Student Success Summit. And so mark your calendars, and we hope to see you participating there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rupa and Jane for that presentation and for all the work that they did in planning the summit. I'd also like to thank Dr. Patty Flanagan, Dean at Saddleback College, and Dr. Kathleen Greiner, right, of Irvine Valley College for the work that you did on it also. Okay, next is a little more specific. The next is each of the colleges are going to focus on one of the programs that they instituted at their colleges and they thought was very successful, and they're going to share it with us now. The first to go is Irvine Valley College.
Okay, now it's my privilege this morning to introduce two IVC faculty members who are leaders in IVC's efforts to support student success initiatives. This morning, our colleagues will be sharing with us how they are working to achieve student success with ESL students at Irvine Valley College. Following Chancellor Portner's lead, the district, as you know, has been aggressively responding to recommendations of the Chancellor's Student Success Task Force and now the Student Success Act. We're also one of 4 colleges here at Irvine Valley College that has adopted the 21st Century Commission on Community Colleges call to action, and we are beta testing the Voluntary Framework for Accountability, kind of the national equivalent of the Student Success card. And finally, from its inception, Irvine Valley College has been incorporating recommendations from Reclaiming the American Dream and now empowering community colleges to build the nation's future. In keeping our trustees informed of this work, at the March 31st, 2014 Board of Trustees meeting, Professors Jeff Wilson and Rebecca Beck made a presentation on ESL pathways to student success, and we'll be speaking more about that this morning. We appreciate all the hard work of our faculty are doing with the new parallel basic skills sequences, which support students whether English is their first or second language, and the concept of scalable pathways that can be adjusted to the needs of the student and are reassessed each semester, allowing the students to accelerate progress. Today, I know that we're all pleased to learn more about the ESL student population at IVC and 2 major curricular changes: the creation of an advanced academic English track and the development of an accelerated, flexible ESL course sequence. And at this time, please join me in welcoming Professors Jeff Wilson and Rebecca Beck. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Chancellor Portner, Dr. Rockmore, Dr. Justice, and our colleagues for the recognition, and also welcome Chancellor Harris to our district. As a state and the school, I've been focusing on improving basic skills, as we've heard. ESL is a great place to start. English is a second language. So before we looked at how can we improve our program, we first wanted to figure out exactly who are in our classes, who is an ESL student, and why they are taking classes with us. So to begin with, here's a slide. That's myself with longer hair with one of my classes. And as you can see, our population is really diverse. We did a fall 2012 survey, and we found out we're actually diverse in 4 major ways in terms of race, age, English language background, and educational goal. And what we found from that survey is that the first point of diversity in race, our ESL population, first of all, on the slide here, you can ignore the left column. The middle column is our IBC ESL population statistics, and the far right column is the general IBC population. And so, as you can tell, our classrooms are really diverse in terms of ethnicity and race. We usually have 12 to 15 different native languages spoken in a classroom. This is unlike the more homogeneous populations like in Westminster or Santa Ana. Ours are not homogeneous, very diverse there. As you can see, the largest group is a mixture of students from Asian backgrounds. Those include students from China, Vietnam, Korea, and Japan. The second group, interestingly, it says white up there, but usually our Persian students, our students from Iran usually label themselves as white on surveys. So that's our second group, our students from Iran. And the third group is really a mixed cornucopia of students from all over the globe, including the Honduras, the Sudan, places like even Nigeria and Spain. The third point of diversity we looked at was age. And as you can see in the middle, our ESL population is older than our general population. This is because some of our older students, they're taking classes for their vocational, personal, and community ESL goals, not necessarily to transfer all the time. And finally, third, is our English language background. We have 3 major groups here. The first being resident students who are early arriving or U.S. born. These students have been in the United States for at least maybe 10 years or more, but due to general circumstances, they still need language support in the classroom. So that's group number 1. Group number 2 are late arriving students who usually come here during high school, have a couple of years, and then come to our college. Both the first 2 groups, those are usually residents. And the last group, which is a growing group, and many of you who teach here have seen these in our classes, is that our international students are here. This is an increasing group thanks to our reputation as a transfer-bound institution and the fact that we are next to, anyone know? The beach. What's interesting about this is we as ESL faculty find this point of diversity to be the most fascinating since it clearly gives us a point of reference as we design course syllabi. These different groups have actually different learning needs. All right, and the fourth point of diversity we looked at was educational goal. As you can see, this is a very mixed bag. We have 53% who at 2012 said they want to complete, they want to transfer, or they want an AA degree, whereas 47% were taking it for other goals, as you can see on the graph. This is a very mixed bag. This is probably different than the other basic skills groups of math and English. It's not homogeneous. For example, usually students taking maybe a developmental math or English course probably want to transfer or get a certificate or an AA. They're not necessarily taking it to get a promotion at Target. So this is why, a contributing factor to why many ESL programs across the state, including ours, typically show a little bit less or lower success rates than more homogeneous basic skills populations such as math or English. But let's not forget that the other 47% are probably successful in meeting their own educational goal, but that's not being currently tracked by success rates. Okay, so my next slide is one of my favorite slides, and it's kind of odd. It's a picture of cats. And the slide says so much diversity, where do we begin? And the reason for this is one of our deans who's sitting here today. She observed one of our classes, our department chair's class, who's sitting here as well, and she told her that, wow, all this diversity is like herding cats. And we took this in a positive light. I myself am a cat owner. Her name is Stella, and Stella is awesome, but she's very individualistic. She does what she wants to do. And so I thought this picture was great because it shows the really diverse group of our students. They all have their own educational goal. They all have their own needs. So what do we do with this diversity? How do we make program improvements that impacts the most people? Well, let's go back to our previous slide here. And if we want to really improve the biggest portion of our students, we can focus on the 53%. Also, that nicely coincides with the state's goals, with our goals of improving completion rates. So we decided to tackle the biggest portion of our students and focus on those students requiring academic support. I'm now going to hand it over to Rebecca Beck, and she's going to talk about two things we did with our curriculum.
Okay, so let me go forward. So initially, we made two major changes. The first was the creation of an academic English course sequence, one that parallels the English department basic skills sequence. This provides a clear pathway to writing one, which is our transfer level course for language learners. So let me show you a visual so it's a little bit easier to conceptualize. In the past, students who had achieved our highest level of ESL instruction had to start all over again in developmental composition courses. So sometimes our speakers, they were already aware of how to write an essay, how to structure paragraphs. They just needed to have more language support. So in essence, our students were going backwards to go forward. So this slowed them down and stigmatized them in a variety of ways. And furthermore, as many of you know, and research has shown that the more layers of basic skill instructions that students have to encounter, they have a higher chance of dropping out. So we thought, well, how can we do this? How can we give them this support in language and writing together? So this is what we did. We created a new academic English sequence, one that gives that language learner a clear and equitable pathway to transfer level of writing. We collaborated closely with our English department colleagues, who are so awesome to work with, and we wanted to make sure that that writing curriculum that you see on your left remained intact in our academic English courses on the right. So what we did is we developed an ESL support or language support instruction that was wrapped around that writing instruction. So our ESL courses on the right are 5 units, whereas the writing composition courses for native speakers in blue are 3 units, and they also do have a writing conference component. And so the 5 units in our ESL courses comprise 3 units of writing and the 2 units of language, plus an additional 0.5 unit instruction in a language lab. So students there are required to enroll in the language lab because, as we heard yesterday, they don't do optional. So we had to make sure it was put in there. So what does that instruction consist of then in these new courses? Well, at this point, once those advanced ESL learners have already achieved mastery, of that basic English instruction, they need to move on to more of the accuracy of the language. So we work with an academic English curriculum. What does that look like? Well, it is a little bit more complex and demanding. At this level, our students need to be able to understand that English is used not just for basic English communication, to go to the grocery store, to put gas in the car, to get your cleaners, but also to understand the complexities of the language. So they need to, at this level, begin to learn the habits of mind necessary for college education. It's what we call academic literacy. These habits of mind include reading a text, understanding how American audience writers organize the text. They can question the text. They can also begin to see how the logic is set up in these texts. So it's essentially a whole new set of skills for these language learners. And one of the things that we all need to remember is that the mastery of academic language, it's arguably one of the most important determinants of academic success, and not just for our language learner students, but for all students in our courses. So, the pedagogy here, then, of our academic English instruction sequence is that a language learner is a lifetime learner. As the cognitive demands of college education increase, so do the linguistic demands that the students need. So our new courses essentially focus on giving them the writing, the speaking, the listening, and the grammar instruction all in sync. So our students are working in real time as they're mastering all of the new academic skills that are needed for success. So now Jeff is going to introduce the next change, and I'll explain that a little bit too. Thank you.
Okay. So the second thing we did is we looked at acceleration and questioned, is acceleration possible in language acquisition? People debate that back and forth. We think it is, sort of with a caveat. The acceleration model that we created is flexible and adaptable, and it's an option for students who are learning at a quicker pace than those that are taking our traditional sequence step by step or class by class. The question is, how can students progress quicker? How can they proceed through our sequence? The short answer is that we are lucky to be immersed, our students are lucky to be immersed in an English environment. Some of them take full advantage of this, and they're able to improve their skills inside and outside of the classroom, which enables them to accelerate through our program more quickly, whereas students who only use English 5 hours a day in our class, and then they go home and they speak Farsi or Korean all day long with their peers, they'll probably take our more traditional class-by-class model. So basically, their own investment in language learning has a big impact on the concept of acceleration. So why is that? Well, on this slide here, I have two pictures for you. And the first is that language is a skill. It's not a subject. So as an acquired skill, students absorb it from all directions, not sequentially, sort of over time. Unlike a subject like history or maybe psychology that students learn from maybe a traditional lecture approach, you can't really memorize language. You can't cram for it overnight for a test. So let's look at Ronaldo here, one of Rebecca's favorite soccer players. He became good at the skill of soccer by not only practicing with a coach and a team, but also by investing countless hours outside of the soccer field on his own. Similarly, students can practice English with a coach, like taking a class with our department, or they can practice on their own. How do they practice? Well, they need exposure. How do they get exposure? Flip to picture number 2. The best way to do it is probably get a native English-speaking boyfriend or girlfriend. Seriously, that's probably the best way. Second to that, they can join a club here on campus. They can perhaps get a job in the community. They can engage with other English classes for credit here on our campus. So the point is, if students become immersed in English, not just in our classrooms, and they take full advantage, and they do well in our classrooms as well, they can't slack either, then they can improve at a faster rate. And Rebecca will show you the details on how.
Okay, so what we have then in our acceleration model is just 2 pathways. And the first one, we'll call it the lockstep progression, and the next one is the flexible accelerated progression. So let's take a peek at what they look like. Again, another visual to make it easier. I think we all know what that's all about. It's an accordion. And we chose this picture because it's exactly what we are envisioning our program will do, or our students will do with what we can offer them as far as courses go. We know that an accordion expands and compresses depending on the note that's being played. So even though, yes, we have a 7-level program where we have students who begin in maybe survival English course, level 7, and then advance through all the way to writing 1. And you might question, well, why do we have a 7-level program? Well, let's remember, we're an open access institution. So any student, regardless of their English proficiency, can enroll. So we do have course offerings for all of their needs. So this first slide then will show you the student who is following the traditional sequence. And the student, when they take our assessment, they can be placed in any of these levels. But just for this example, let's say that a student is placed in 7 levels below transfer writing. So that student comes to class and speaks English only in the class. They go home, they watch TV in Mandarin. They go to the store and they chat with their friends in Mandarin. They get their food. All that is done in Mandarin. They Skype back to their parents or their family back in their country, and they're doing so in another language other than English. So you get the idea. This is the student who's going to have to go step by step to achieve that language proficiency that makes him or her college ready. So these are the students who are not getting exposed to the English. As Jeff mentioned, they're not acquiring the English that they need to be able to practice with that English soccer ball. So the other end of the spectrum, we have, again, the student. And if that student is very diligent, they are very highly engaged in our courses, they speak English outside of the classroom, they use it all the time, they might have gotten a job. They found that lucky boyfriend or girlfriend who's teaching them English. They might have joined the tennis team here at IBC. So as you can see, that student is moving a little bit faster. What we also see at times is a student who might have placed poorly at the beginning. Maybe they had a party the night before and they didn't take the assessment seriously, and then they come and they don't do so well in the assessment. So this also allows for that student to be able to progress a little bit faster. And if you're wondering, well, how do they do that? We have an evidence-based system in place in our program that asks students to write, and we evaluate that, and that's how we deem whether the student is ready for the next level or not. So, last slide here. This one is the most realistic scenario, I think, that we see here, okay? This is the student, again, thinking of that student who needs that foundation in English. We'll take that step-by-step, lockstep progression approach at the beginning. But then as they become a little bit more confident, they might skip some of these levels at the intermediate level. And then, as I explained earlier, when they hit that academic English instruction, that's a little bit more demanding and complex and challenging, they might slow down. So in sum, what you're seeing here is that students can always take the slower, more traditional sequence, or they can go in the new, more accelerated model, depending on how much time they invest. So, what does this do for our students? Well, in essence, our modified curriculum certainly empowers our students to have the flexibility to design his progression through language learning. And more importantly, it does not keep them buried in different layers of basic skill instructions that makes it easier for them to opt out. Thank you.
Almost finished. She's finished. I have one more slide. Okay, so finally, where do we go from here? Well, the first is closing the loop. Data drives instruction, as we know. And so we want to work with the English department and our research team to ensure that our new advanced academic English curriculum does what it says it's going to do, and it's going to prepare students for Writing 1 and college classes. If there are gaps in students' learning, we want to continually go back and address those. The second is faculty support is an integral part of student success. We are the touch points for students, all counselors and faculty members, and having great teaching is the number way to achieve student success. So here's my plug for if you're an administrator or you're a faculty member and you sit on any funding board. Having the necessary support funding and services in place is key, and kudos to our IBC administration and our colleagues for supporting us. And the third point is that we will continually redesign or retune and fine-tune and focus on our academic English sequence to ensure measurable success rates for our students looking to complete, transfer, or get the AA degree or get a certificate. This will be a continual priority for our program and for our school. However, I'm already there. However, let's not forget our other cats. Let's not forget the 47% of students who are here. Remember, we're open access. We want to improve access to students, but have different educational needs. They're looking for vocational and community and personal needs, so we have to be cognizant of that. So currently, we're working with the AB 86 PAG group here and Dean Greiner to explore different options, different models, and best practices to best support those students' needs as well. So on the behalf of Rebecca and myself, thank you for putting up with us for the last 16, 17 minutes. Thanks.
Once again, good morning, everybody. I wanted to thank Chancellor Portner for inviting Saddleback to make a brief presentation on a topic of great importance to all of us, K-12 partnerships. My colleagues up here and I are excited to present some of the work that has been done with our K-12 partners and how we are well positioned to make extraordinary gains over the coming years. We chose to present on this topic because there has been an increasing call to action at the national, state, and local levels for greater K-12 collaboration. In fact, as you heard from our state chancellor, under the state Student Success Initiative that State Chancellor Bryce Harris actually helped fashion, there's a call for greater coordination between K-12 schools and community colleges. In discussing the Student Success Initiative, our own district chancellor, Gary Portner, recently stated that these system-wide changes are necessary to meet statewide economic goals. Last month, Congress and President Obama reauthorized the Workforce Investment Act under the new Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Under the new act, a government review of federal job training and education programs was conducted that developed a checklist of 7 elements. One of the elements was to promote a seamless progression from one educational stepping stone to another and across work-based training and education, so individuals' efforts result in progress. Training programs should be a part of a continuum of education and training leading to credential attainment, good jobs, increased earnings, and career advancement. At our local level, both of our largest K-12 districts strongly support greater collaboration. In response to their signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with Saddleback under our high school partnership program, Superintendent Farley stated, "The high school partnership plan will provide another resource to help ensure that all of our students are prepared for college and career." Superintendent Harwick stated, "The K-14 partnership is a great foundation for students to start and carry on through Saddleback College." And the president of the Capo Unified School District Board said, "This partnership promises to give our students another advantage by directly connecting them with additional resources necessary for their future college and career success." And there are numerous other calls to action at the national, state, and local levels. But why partner? First, Saddleback's partnership is valuable in helping our K-12 partners advance their own mission. Second, K-12 partnerships are critical with helping students succeed at Saddleback, IVC, or any other community college or four-year institution. And third, K-12 partnerships help our college and district ensure steady enrollments. K-12 partnerships are not new to Saddleback. In fact, we have made them a top priority beginning back in 2008. Since then, we have made tremendous gains on a number of fronts. And to just discuss a few of our efforts, I am pleased to introduce Leslie Humphrey, who is our Director of Outreach and Recruitment, which actually is a position we created back in 2009 as one of our first acts.
Morning. As President Burnett mentioned, we offer students year-round educational experiences from kindergarten through 12th grade at local school sites, as well as Saddleback College. Students, parents, or guardians and school representatives can find information tailored specifically for them on our new K-12 student webpage. Under each tab, we have outlined pathways that describe how we can work together to ensure students' admissions and success in colleges and careers. The High School Partnership Program can be found under the High School tab. The Gaucho Guarantee is the core to the High School Partnership Program, where students who follow all of the recommended steps in the High School Partnership Program will have the tools to be successful when attending college, entering the workforce, joining the military, or pursuing any other pathway after high school. Under the High School Pathway at a Glance section, roles for the student, parent, high school, and Saddleback are described. For the student role, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and senior students should complete college prep courses, attend college information sessions, and or complete a certificate or a associate's degree in CTE disciplines. For the parent role, parents should encourage students to apply, I thought you'd like that one, okay, to apply for financial aid, scholarships, and attend parent information sessions, as well as assisting their student to identify their pathway. With high schools, their role should attend key Saddleback College events to find out more information about our programs and services, including our president's annual K-12 breakfast, CTE events, our professional learning councils, career fairs, and additional core events on the high school site. As for Saddleback College, we introduce students to academic and student service programs. In 2014, Saddleback College offered 15 sections of our Applied Psych 189 course on site in the Capistrano and Saddleback Unified School Districts, and more than 300 students completed the transition course in spring of 2014. From the new web pages, you will be able to view the roles and pathways of our middle schools and elementary school partnerships as well. To share more information about ongoing efforts related to Common Core and the Orange County Career Pathway Partnership, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Dean of Liberal Arts.
Next slide. Good morning. I think that while in the community colleges over the past several years, we've been focused in a very positive way on student success. Certainly the Basic Skills Initiative, the 22 recommendations that emerged from the Student Success Task Force, and others, that's been our focus. Meanwhile, concurrently, in the high school settings, something's emerged, a student success initiative called Common Core. And the first 4 bullets on this slide attempt to briefly characterize some of its assumptions and practices. Most basically, Common Core focuses on 3 discipline subjects: English, reading, and writing. Some might say, well, that's not exactly innovative. It's perhaps traditional, but the innovation comes in the next 3 bullets. Common Core implementation insists upon contextualized teaching and learning, where the knowledge, including the knowledge in these 3 subject and skill areas of English, reading, and math, is applied. It's applied to real-life situations and applications. And it also involves cross-fertilization between and among faculty. While students are learning about English, writing, and reading in those respective courses, they're simultaneously addressing those 3 important skill areas in all the disciplines. In a social sciences class, in a social studies class, a history class, a math class. And it requires that faculty across all those disciplines are working cooperatively to support, understand, and reinforce one another. It takes writing across the curriculum, something that's been around for many decades, to the next level, to a higher level, where it's writing across all of the subjects and areas. Integrated technology is another best practice that's essential to the implementation and successful outcomes in Common Core. Common Core believes that students need to be problem solvers. They need to take their skills, address issues and problems, and construct answers and solutions. And while doing that, either to research solutions and or to present them, share them, receive criticism, debate, and contrast of viewpoints, they will be understanding and using technology in an integrated way. Now, I personally came to better understand Common Core and what it means because I had the great privilege over the last 4 years of participating in a professional learning council that the English department at Saddleback created. They've been good sports and they've allowed me to attend all their meetings which I greatly appreciate, and I've learned a lot about the connection between the high school setting and in this focused way, English curriculum and alignment of curriculum, best practices, and pedagogy. I would really invite everyone who's at this session to consider finding like-minded colleagues, be they in instruction or services, and consider forming a collaborative group that brings about mutual understanding and conversation and those important relationships, all of which are key to our focus on access and student success. Whether the conversation is a group of discipline experts, as in the case of an English Professional Learning Council, or broader, makes no difference, yet makes a great deal of difference. We want these conversations to be going up, down, and across. The Orange County Career Pathways Partnership, which was initiated through the Orange County Department of Education and Saddleback College, and as you see from the bullet points, is very comprehensive and regional. In order to achieve student success, we need to be looking at the subject from a variety of perspectives. Certainly, pathways are key to student success. We know the data. The Student Success Task Force was based on best research and best practices. We know the sooner students find a correct pathway, the more likely it is that they're going to be successful. So we're launching this important partnership, which has been mentioned already by others, and this will also play a key source of success for our scorecard and for improving the lives and outcomes of the students we serve. I'd like to next introduce the two speakers who are going to share with you more examples of student success initiatives at Saddleback College.
Good morning. A brief announcement. We are pleased to announce this week that Saddleback is one of 2 California community colleges to receive a 5-year AVID grant from the Dell Foundation. The grant will provide professional development for our faculty and learning support for a cohort of Pell Grant-eligible first-time freshmen. AVID pedagogy uses research-based best practices that provide essential skills for success, concentrating on 5 key instructional areas: writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading, all taught with an emphasis on student engagement. As we welcome AVID to campus, Saddleback joins a national contingent that bridges secondary and post-secondary venues. Our college endorses the essential 2 goals of AVID instruction. For students, we will provide self-actualized motivational and learning techniques. And for our institution, we will inspire to excellence in teaching and learning aimed at increased retention and completion. AVID is a new opportunity for Saddleback College, an opportunity that promises success for both our faculty and our students.
Hi, I've got 2 important announcements. One is we are almost done. And 2, you do not have to be the height of a 4th grader to participate in this program, because I recognize myself, Dr. Garrison, and Leslie were all about 5'1" on a good hair day. So let me go on. Okay. As you've heard, this effort to prepare our youth for college is a national, state, and local call to action. You can see on the list behind me, Saddleback College is well on its way. This next year, our goal is to be comprehensive and coordinated, that's key, in our efforts to promote access, student achievement, educational standards, and alignment, as well as lifelong learning. The next slide. The Education Advisory Board states, 2-year colleges have formed long-standing and deep collaborations with high school, industry, government, and universities, placing 2-year colleges in a unique position to forge new pathways from cradle to career. So get out those changing diapers now. As a co-chair of the Student Success Committee, both Bruce and I recognize the better prepared our students arrive at our campus, the greater success they will have in achieving their educational goals and life dreams. And that's why every one of us are in this room, right? To support our students and their dreams. We support the K through 12 efforts at our college and encourage all of you to find a way to collaborate in this effort too. On behalf of the Saddleback College presenters this AM, thank you.
Next on our program is the presentation of faculty service pins in recognition of years of service. I'd like to ask the two presidents, board members, Vice Chancellor David Bouguet of Human Resources and Teddy Lorch to please come on up.
Good morning. This year we're going to be passing out pins celebrating 1,195 years of service. If you want to put that sequentially, they started teaching in 819 AD, the same time the ACCJC proposed student learning outcomes. With that being said, when you come up to receive your pin, please come up this side over here, shake hands with the president, be passing out the pins, and then exit this side over here. I've been told to talk slowly, which is very difficult for me. Anyway, that being said, we have 18 people receiving 5-year pins representing 90 years of service. So in alphabetical order, from Saddleback College, Marina Emeny. Susan Bodiger. April Kubich. From Irvine Valley, Amy Grimm. From Saddleback College, Andy Ground. From Saddleback College, Michael Hoggett. From Saddleback College, Barbara Huggins. From Saddleback College, Chin Lam. From Irvine Valley College, Robert Melendez. From Saddleback College, Heidi Ochoa. From Irvine Valley College, Jamie Poster. From Irvine Valley College, Michelle Scharf. From Irvine Valley College, Daniel Scott. From Saddleback College, Abby Cerulik. From Saddleback College, Basil Smith. From Saddleback College, Christina Smith. And then from Saddleback College, Christina White. And from Saddleback College, Ray Zimmerman. The next group of people, we have 14 people that have served for 10 years, representing 140 years of service. The first one from Saddleback College is William Alston. From Saddleback College, Allison Camelot. From Saddleback College, Brandy Craig. From Irvine Valley College, Simon Davies. From Irvine Valley College, Bill Etter. From Saddleback College, Linda Gleason. From Saddleback College, Randy Hardick. From Irvine Valley College, Colin McCauley. From Saddleback College, Sumaya McLeave. From Saddleback College, Cliff Meyer. From Saddleback College, Janine Obukan. From Irvine Valley College, Kay Riles. From Saddleback College, Karen Taylor. And then from Saddleback College, Amira Wajenik. We now go on to people that have served our district 15 years. There's a total of 21 of them, totaling 315 years of service. First off from Saddleback College is Ronald Anderson. Timothy Bratz from Saddleback College. Steve Crapo from Saddleback College. Lindsay Fox from Saddleback College. Howard Gensler from Saddleback College. Julie Hanks from Irvine Valley College. Scott Howlett from Saddleback College. Elizabeth Innes from Saddleback College. Karen Jacobson from Saddleback College. Daniel Luzko from Irvine Valley College. Diana McCullough from Irvine Valley College. Mark McElroy from Saddleback College. Brent Monty from Irvine Valley College. Loretta Nicola from Saddleback College. Larry Perez from Saddleback College. Joyce Quaid from Saddleback College. Steve Tay from Saddleback College. Janet Ventura from Saddleback College. Dan Walsh from Saddleback College. Michelle Wolf from Saddleback College. Carol Ziem from Saddleback College. We have 13 people that will be receiving 20-year pins. First off from Saddleback College is Mariam Azari Decordi from Saddleback College. Christy Brenner from Saddleback College. Terry Cheng from Irvine Valley College. Tracy Fahimi from Irvine Valley College. Stephen Lee from Irvine Valley College. Louis Long from Irvine Valley College. Mary McDonough from Irvine Valley College. Martin McRogan from Irvine Valley College. Albert Mertz from Irvine Valley College. Larry Radden from Saddleback College. Roland Rodriguez from Irvine Valley College. Lawrence Twicken from Saddleback College. And Ted Weatherford from Irvine Valley College. The next group we have served 25 years in our district, and there's a total of 9 of them. So with that, from Saddleback College, Julie Brady Jenner. From Irvine Valley College, Elizabeth Chambers. From Saddleback College, Nancy Evans. From Saddleback College, Jennifer Fruzas. From Irvine Valley College, Wendy Gabriella. From Saddleback College, Gary Luke. From Irvine Valley College, Roy McCord. From Saddleback College, Martin Welk. And then from Saddleback College, Norman Weston. We have 2 people that have served 30 years in our district. I'd like to honor them. Loma Hopkins from Saddleback College. And Alex Ilorante from Saddleback College. Three people with 35 years of service in our district, totaling 105 years. First off, from Irvine Valley College, Ray Chandros. From Saddleback College, Mike Channing. And from Irvine Valley College, Rich Zucker. Okay, super. Thank you very much. Chancellor Portner.
Before my closing remarks, I've got 2 pieces of business. One, I understand that I failed to introduce Vice Chancellor of Business Services, Deborah Fitzsimmons. I didn't see her the first time around. Did she leave? I guess she got miffed because I didn't introduce her. Okay. Next, I'd like to ask Claire Cesario to come up. She has some comments for faculty.
Just a quick announcement. We are going to be having a faculty-only meeting here at 11:30, so there will be a break in between this session and that. And then everybody is invited back for the luncheon, which will take place at 12:15 out in the lobby. So thanks.
Thank you for attending today. This is an important annual event for me, and I'd like to recognize my staff for their hard work in planning. Thank you to the IVC Fine Arts Department for providing some musical relief. Thanks to all of you who work behind the scenes at this event to make it special, from lighting to sound to videography. I appreciate your efforts. A special thanks to Dr. Bryce Harris for making the trip from Sacramento to share his visionary leadership. Many thanks to our college presidents, Glenn Rockmore and Todd Burnett, and their teams for sharing some innovative student success models with us. Your efforts make a difference. Have a wonderful semester.